Nestled in the heart of Estes Park, Colorado, the Stanley Hotel stands as an architectural marvel of the early 20th century. It was built in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, an entrepreneur and inventor best known for the Stanley steamer automobile. Stanley, who had been diagnosed with tuberculosis, moved to Colorado, seeking the healing mountain air. Enchanted by the beauty of Estes Park, he envisioned a grand hotel to cater to wealthy guests who sought a luxurious retreat amidst nature's wonders. However, what began as an opulent dream soon took on a much darker reputation. Over the years, guests and staff alike reported eerie happenings, disembodied voices, unexplained shadows, and objects moving on their own. Legends began to swirl that the Stanley Hotel was not just a scenic getaway, but a place where the veil between the living and the dead was thinnest. Its halls, once bustling with wealthy tourists, became a hotbed for paranormal encounters, making it one of the most famous haunted hotels in the United States. Freeland Oscar Stanley was a man of ambition and vision, an inventor, businessman, and philanthropist. But despite his passing in 1940, many believe that he never truly left his beloved Stanley Hotel. His presence is one of the most frequently reported paranormal encounters in the building, and guests and employees alike have experienced inexplicable events linked to his spirit. Unlike the sinister spirits of many haunted locations, Stanley's ghost is often described as a watchful, almost protective force within the hotel. Numerous guests have claimed to see him in full detail, dressed in his characteristic early 20th century suit, complete with a bow tie and pocket watch. He has been spotted walking through the lobby, standing on the grand staircase, or even lingering in the billiards room, which was one of his favorite places during his lifetime. Many reports describe an uncanny feeling of being watched, only to turn around and see the faint outline of a man standing in the distance. Others tell of encountering a distinguished-looking gentleman who acknowledges them with a nod before vanishing into thin air. Unlike the frightening specters found in horror stories, Stanley's presence is often accompanied by an aura of calm and authority, as though he continues to oversee his cherished hotel, even in death. One of the most well-known locations for Stanley's ghostly appearances is the billiards room. During his life, this was a place where he spent hours entertaining guests and discussing business. Today, it remains a hotspot for paranormal activity. Several guests and staff members have reported seeing a spectral figure standing near the billiards table, observing the room as if reminiscing about the past. Others have claimed to hear the faint clinking of billiard balls when no one is present, or even feel a sudden drop in temperature upon entering the room. Some investigators have captured electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, in this space, with recordings that contain muffled voices or an inexplicable whisper of welcome. The grand staircase of the Stanley Hotel is another place where Stanley's presence is frequently felt. Known among ghost hunters as the Vortex, this staircase is often described as a supernatural gateway where spirits come and go freely. Guests ascending or descending the stairs have reported sudden gusts of cold air, as if an invisible figure had just brushed past them. Others have caught ghostly anomalies on camera, faint figures, glowing orbs, or distorted shapes appearing where no one was standing. One of the most compelling encounters involved a family posing for a photo on the staircase. When they reviewed the image later, they noticed a tall, distinguished man in the background, dressed in an old-fashioned suit. Upon researching, they were stunned to discover that the mysterious figure bore an uncanny resemblance to Freelan Oscar Stanley himself. Though room 217 is best known for its association with the ghost of Elizabeth Wilson, some guests have also linked its strange activity to Stanley's presence. As the hotel's most famous room, it has attracted countless visitors, including celebrities and paranormal investigators, all hoping to experience something otherworldly. Several guests have reported hearing a male voice whispering late at night, only to find the room empty. Others have noticed their belongings subtly rearranged, as if an unseen force had taken an interest in their stay. Some speculate that Stanley occasionally visits this room, perhaps out of curiosity, ensuring that his guests are still receiving the highest standard of hospitality, even from beyond the grave. The Stanley Hotel's concert hall, another of Stanley's favorite locations, has been the site of several strange occurrences. Some say they have seen his apparition sitting quietly in the audience, as if enjoying a performance. Others have reported the sound of footsteps pacing back and forth on the stage when no one was there. One chilling account came from a pianist who was practicing alone in the concert hall late at night. As she played, she suddenly felt an overwhelming sense of another presence in the room. When she stopped playing, she heard the distinct sound of someone clapping from the far end of the hall. Yet, she was completely alone. Despite the many ghostly encounters, those who claim to have met Freelan Oscar Stanley's spirit insist that he is not a malevolent entity. If anything, he seems to be a lingering guardian of the hotel, watching over the guests and ensuring that his legacy remains intact. There is a unique comfort in the idea that Stanley, even in death, has chosen to remain in the very place he built with so much love and dedication. While skeptics may dismiss these accounts as mere imagination or exaggeration, the sheer number of reports suggests otherwise. Whether it is a trick of the mind or an undeniable glimpse into the supernatural, one thing remains certain. Freelan Oscar Stanley's presence at the Stanley Hotel is as strong as ever. Room 217 is perhaps the most famous and feared room in the Stanley Hotel. The legend dates back to a real-life accident in 1911, when chambermaid Elizabeth Wilson was nearly killed in a gas explosion. Though she survived, her presence seems to have lingered well beyond her mortal years. In June 1911, a massive thunderstorm caused a power outage at the Stanley Hotel. During this time, the hotel relied on gas lamps for lighting, and a leak went undetected in room 217. When chambermaid Elizabeth Wilson entered with a lit candle, the resulting explosion was so powerful that it destroyed part of the second floor. Miraculously, Wilson survived the blast but suffered significant injuries. While she recovered and continued working at the hotel, many believe that a part of her spirit remained bound to room 217 long after her passing. Guests who have stayed in room 217 report flickering lights, suitcases being mysteriously rearranged, and even feeling an unseen force pulling the covers off their beds at night. Some claim to have seen a ghostly woman in an old-fashioned uniform standing at the foot of their bed, watching over them before disappearing into thin air. Other reports include locked doors unlocking themselves, windows opening without reason, and luggage inexplicably being moved from one side of the room to another. Some guests who left their shoes neatly arranged found them lined up in a different order when they woke up. A few even claim that they felt someone gently tucking them into bed at night, as if a maternal presence was still watching over them. Many believe that Elizabeth Wilson's ghost continues to fulfill her housekeeping duties, tidying up after guests and ensuring that the room remains in pristine condition. Some guests have woken up to find their clothes neatly folded, while others swear they heard the rustling of sheets and a faint scent of lavender, which was rumored to be Wilson's favorite. However, Elizabeth's spirit is not known to be malevolent. Unlike the more terrifying hauntings in the hotel, room 217's ghostly presence is often described as warm, even protective. Couples staying in the room have reported feeling a distinct chill between them if they were unmarried, leading to speculation that Elizabeth disapproved of unwed couples sharing a bed. One of the most famous incidents tied to room 217 occurred when horror novelist Stephen King spent a night there. His eerie experiences, which included vivid nightmares and an overwhelming sense of being watched, inspired him to write The Shining, cementing the room's reputation as one of the most haunted places in America. King and his wife arrived at the Stanley Hotel late in the season when it was nearly empty. That night, he had a disturbing dream of his young son running through the hotel's corridors, screaming in terror as a possessed fire hose chased him. He awoke in a cold sweat, got up, and stepped onto the balcony overlooking Estes Park. It was then that he knew he had found the perfect setting for his next novel. King's experiences in Room 217 transformed the Stanley Hotel into a cultural phenomenon, drawing thrill seekers and horror fans from around the world. Paranormal investigators have frequently visited Room 217, attempting to capture evidence of supernatural activity. Many have recorded unexplained electronic voice phenomena, EVPs, where faint whispers and distant murmurs can be heard when played back. Some have even caught shadowy figures on infrared cameras, standing near the bed or moving past the doorway. One particularly chilling recording captured the words, "I'm here," in a soft, breathy voice when no one else was in the room. Other guests have shared images showing orbs of light hovering near the ceiling or unusual distortions in photographs taken inside the room. Even the hotel staff remain wary of Room 217. Housekeepers have reported doors closing and locking on their own while they clean. Some refuse to enter alone, citing an unshakable feeling of being watched. Others have mentioned their cleaning supplies mysteriously disappearing, only to reappear minutes later in an entirely different part of the room. One housekeeper recalled an unsettling moment when she heard a soft humming behind her while making the bed. She turned, expecting to see another employee, but the room was empty. The humming continued until she hurriedly left the room, refusing to return alone. Despite the eerie encounters, Room 217 remains the most requested room at the Stanley Hotel. Brave visitors hoping for a supernatural experience book it months in advance, eager to witness the mysterious happenings for themselves. Whether it's the ghostly presence of Elizabeth Wilson or simply the power of suggestion, one thing is certain. Room 217 holds an energy unlike any other place in the hotel. For those daring enough to spend a night there, it is an experience they will never forget. The question remains, are the spirits truly present, or is it the weight of history and legend that makes Room 217 feel so alive? The Grand Ballroom at the Stanley Hotel is a place of elegance, history, and ghostly intrigue. Over the years, guests and employees have reported hearing faint piano music drifting through the air, despite no one being near the instrument. Many believe this to be the spirit of Flora Stanley, Freeland's wife, who had a great passion for music and often played for guests during the hotel's early years. Some visitors claim to have seen a woman in an old-fashioned dress seated at the piano, her fingers gliding over the keys, only for her to vanish into thin air when approached. Others have reported hearing laughter and footsteps as if a grand event were taking place, yet the room remains empty. Paranormal investigators have conducted multiple studies in the ballroom, capturing mysterious sounds and shadowy figures moving in the background. Some believe that these spirits are remnants of past celebrations, eternally replaying moments of joy and revelry long after their earthly departure. The dining room at the Stanley Hotel is another site of unexplained occurrences. Guests and staff alike have described seeing dark floating figures on the ceiling, shifting in the dim light. Others have reported hearing the sound of clinking silverware and muffled conversations, as if invisible diners were enjoying a meal from beyond the grave. One former waiter recalled an incident where he saw a spectral figure in an old-fashioned uniform standing by one of the tables. Thinking it was a historical reenactment, he attempted to greet the figure, only for it to vanish before his eyes. Guests have also felt sudden temperature drops and a strange sensation of being watched while dining in the room. Many believe the spirits in the dining room are echoes of past patrons, lingering in a space that once held grand feasts and social gatherings. Whether they are residual hauntings or intelligent spirits aware of their surroundings, the dining room remains a fascinating and eerie part of the Stanley Hotel's paranormal legacy. Housekeepers at the Stanley Hotel have some of the most chilling tales to tell. Many report feeling unseen eyes watching them as they work, hearing soft whispers in empty rooms, or even finding beds made up when no one had entered. One notable encounter involved a housekeeper who entered a vacant room only to find an impression on the freshly made bed, as if someone had just been sitting there. She quickly left the room, only to hear footsteps following her down the hallway. Other staff members have had cleaning supplies moved or rearranged, doors slamming shut without cause, and objects falling from shelves without explanation. Some believe these playful spirits are former guests who simply never checked out. The fourth floor of the Stanley Hotel is infamous for ghostly children. Guests frequently hear the sound of giggling, small footsteps running through the hallways, and even playful whispers in their ears. Many believe these spirits are the children of past guests who once stayed at the hotel when it operated as a family resort. Some visitors have even reported seeing the small apparitions of children peeking around corners or running through doorways before vanishing into thin air. One eerie account tells of a guest who felt a tiny hand grasp hers in the middle of the night, only to find no one there. Others have reported waking up to find their belongings slightly moved, as if ghostly children had been playing with them while they slept. The Grand Staircase, also known as the Vortex, is believed to be a powerful supernatural portal. Many visitors have captured ghostly anomalies in their photographs. Strange orbs, shadowy figures, and inexplicable distortions in the images. Those who walk up the staircase often report feeling lightheaded, experiencing sudden chills, or even hearing whispers just beyond their perception. Some paranormal investigators claim that the energy here is unlike any other spot in the hotel, theorizing that spirits use this location to move between realms. Guests have described seeing a shadowy figure standing at the top of the stairs, watching them silently before disappearing into thin air. Others claim to have felt an unseen force gently push them as they ascend, almost as if testing their courage. Despite the overwhelming number of ghostly encounters, skeptics argue that the Stanley Hotel's reputation fuels people's imaginations. Is it truly haunted, or is it merely the result of the mind's ability to conjure fears in dimly lit hallways? Regardless, the Stanley remains a beacon for thrill seekers, ghost hunters, and those who seek to experience the unknown firsthand. The Stanley Hotel stands as a testament to time, its grandeur and haunting history intertwined in an unbreakable bond. Whether one visits to revel in its historic elegance or to seek an encounter with the beyond, the hotel continues to captivate all who walk its halls. It is a place where the past lingers, where whispers in the dark are more than just the wind, and where the line between the living and the dead remains tantalizingly thin.